FYI, folks, I was writing the content for this video and the doc file and folder it was in went missing. Fortunately I was able to find it back and am now working off a USB stick. Clearly someone's been rummaging through my files and censoring the content I want to bring to you. Dictionary definition of placate: to make someone less angry or hostile. From a news article, Bourla, whose company is in late-stage testing for a potential inoculation, said he understands the public's concerns about vaccines, which are being developed in record time. He said Pfizer will only request authorization from the Food and Drug Administration after data shows that its vaccine is safe and effective. They say they understand. This has the effect of either infuriating or manipulating the listener. Fact is, the FDA has been passing off chemicalized food as edible for years and then telling us it's good for us. With money as their objective, our health comes in somewhere down the line, but far down. It's not their concern, especially when the NWO agenda is to get us all sick and incapable of living independently of the system. They want us all on it so they can call the shots. Oh, they understand all right, and their mentioning it implies that they've listened to our concerns and have sided with us, when they haven't at all. They know when they put forth their plan they're going to get resistance from some of the public, and that's why they already know what they're going to do when this happens, because they understand us. I liken this to a steamroller, driving slowly forward, just squashing all those in its path. When I say to you, they understand your concerns, what does that mean to you? That they're going to comply with them? No. They didn't say that. This sleight of hand speech is where they get you all the time. In this particular case, Mr. Bulla is using such a statement, and the second part might very well be the truth. They will only request authorization when they think it's safe and effective, and then they might count on the FDA to pass it through whether it is or not. Or the second statement could be the truth, or it could be an outright lie. Considering our concerns with the vaccine and Big Pharma's track record, would you trust this man? Ever talk to people at call centers? They're even bad at using these expressions that are intended to placate the public. I really have to watch my temper when I'm dealing with these people who are clearly reading these statements intended to manipulate and placate me from a screen. You can tell they're reading. They don't actually mean it. They just want you to believe it, but what they don't understand is they don't come across as being sincere. As it turns out, does the public look placated anymore? I don't think so. Exaggerate. The other thing they do, exaggerate. I've found out that my province in Canada now has a COVID epicenter. We have no sick people here in the east where I live, so where's this epicenter? Must be Toronto. Association. If someone's done something the public would condemn, they associate others with them in order to cast a negative pall on them as well. These days, people are being associated with the letter after P, and that's code so I don't get censored, because they have a campaign out to bash the letter after P and their supporters. They're trying to hang Trump by saying he's associated with the letter after P. News reporters are asking how he feels about this letter person. Obviously he won't commit to anything. Put-downs. They put down the other party leader in order to justify their stance. Both sides do it, which is disappointing, but well, that's how people operate in our world. Why do you have to put others down if your stance is correct? If it's true, then won't it stand on its own merits? Of course, many people don't think of this. They jump on board because we've all been raised to be victims and we all love to side up with others to put down the bad guy. This is gang mentality. You've been trained in it by the Matrix and it's taken advantage of in the media. I often get people putting down my work and the reason they do it is to inflate their opinion of themselves. Presumably they're in a similar line of work, or they're just critical. Putting others down is not the way to inflate your self-opinion. You get a better self-opinion by living up to high standards and being as excellent as you can be. Ridiculing. Stating that the truth is ridiculous and maligning anyone who believes it. The truth is the truth, no matter how absurd it might seem to anyone. It's just the truth. Truth and opinion are two different things. Nationalism. Nationalism implies you're the same, whether you live in Maryland, or Fresno, because you're all Americans. When someone does something good, your self-esteem goes up a few points because you're American too. Please. Everybody is responsible for their own thoughts and actions. You don't piggyback off of the good or bad acts of others in your economic region, which is what a country is, folks. Let's face it. It's an economic region. Why would they have individual currencies if they weren't? This is the opposite of divide and conquer. The goal is to unify your opinion into a group that then gets manipulated. There's only one group, everyone. That's the only group. Don't let anyone tell you anything less than that is a group. I hear so much even here in Canada, where we're apparently the nicest people in the world, with the best standard of living, who eat beaver tails. I've never even seen a beaver tail. That's just something they sell in tourist spots to make you think you're eating something really Canadian, so you can have the Canadian experience, whatever that is. Again, you're falling for this ploy. They've created false national foods in order to sell to the public. They beat around the bush. George Carlin has a great video out where he went into detail describing how politicians placate the public. I'll link it in the description. Beating around the bush is basically a technique where there are a lot of words but nobody is saying anything. This ends with, "We'll keep you informed," or "We'll get back to you on this," and nothing ever happens. It's smoke and mirrors, a magic act that implies something superhuman has been accomplished where nothing has. They inflate their importance or their position. Usually this inflation has something to do with attacking their opposition, because in attacking others, they figure they make themselves look better. Don't fall for this one, folks. Just don't. Let someone explain to you what's so great about their position, and if that doesn't stand on its own merit, then there's a problem. If they have to attack someone else to impress you, they're not impressing anybody. In the same way, you can associate yourself with someone who is accomplished in your field. For example, I could brag that my father, an artist, studied under Norman Rockwell, which is true. I don't, though. His work stands on its own merits. They flatter the public. Yup, and you're seeing lots of it now as we approach the election. Abject flattery. Suddenly you're so intelligent, so wonderful, such wonderful patriotic Americans. When I see things like this going on, a red flag goes up. As for Trump, who continually does this, I look at his track record and let that speak for him, because his campaign speeches are full of this schmooze, and that doesn't impress me. Oh yes, here's the big one, my fellow Americans. Suddenly, you are elevated to the same level as the president. Did you catch that one? You're now as important as you believe him to be. In a power over others system where there are those in power and those who aren't, and people live in a system of inequality, suddenly now, you're the powerful one and you're all on an equal footing? This is outright manipulation. The media takes things out of context. Often what's done is part of a sentence, or an admission by a politician will be associated with another incident. I've seen it time and time again, that excerpts are taken out of context and placed within another context, thereby making the person look extremely guilty of something they probably never did. Be careful watching snippets of video. Make sure that it provides the larger original context as well. Or, in the family or friendships, have you ever questioned someone who declared, "You said you would do this and that," because you realize they're committing you to doing more than you originally offered to? Like that. Use indirect speech. You can tell when the politician turns from, "I will do this for the people," to "the people want this to be done," unless there is a stated commitment to do it. Be careful. Direct speech starts with "I," and any statement made that is not a committed action statement is suspect of being bullshit. Even then, it may still not get done. Come up with excuses. Presidential platforms before election. How many presidents or prime ministers have broken election promises and gone against their word? They schmooze you with promises of change before election day, then renege on them afterwards because of reasons beyond their control. Blame others or insinuate such. Blaming someone else, or passing the buck. Just watch when trials start. You'll see a lot of people trying to frame their inferiors or superiors. The big one? Nazi Germany, I was just doing my job. That implies they're not the bad guy, their boss was. They were made to do it. When I hear things like this, I know people have to work at taking personal responsibility and stop living their lives on the victim triangle. They put an investigation committee together which takes so long to come up with an explanation that you forget about the injustice. And the news never reports back on what happened with respect to the Sally McNally case, or the crash of Air Flight 893. You never find out because they don't follow up or they're busy hiding the fact that the class action lawsuit cost them billions. They say whatever they need to. They say whatever they need to in order to keep smiling in front of the camera and putting you in a position where you put up with them because you have no other choice. That's called being a victim. The political system makes a victim out of everyone. Every last single person. Subjecting yourself to this rhetoric without being able to see through to the facts will make a victim of you. You have to know what they're really doing. Thank God now we have the truthers and anons, who see the truth and present the facts with no schmooze speak to confuse people. They water down. By watering down, I mean they use language that lightens the severity of the subject. They make light of it, not giving merit to issues that really deserve it. Last but not least, outright blatant lying. Weapons of mass destruction. Need I say more? I did not have sexual relations with that woman. The GST is a temporary tax. Brian Mulroney, Canada 1991. Many of these tactics can be watched for also in personal relationships. If someone's using them, they're trying to snow you. For example, if I told you that I went to school with Mike Myers, you might think I was a riot. If I told you I studied for years under Sylvia Browne, you'd instantly want to think I'm a great psychic. Because that's what I'd be trying to get you to think. I'd be wanting you to make this association, and it's done all the time in politics. In this election time, you have to be wise to these tactics and search for the facts. Let the facts speak for themselves, don't let the fancy talk manipulate your opinion.